All right, just wanted to go over the TI-89 real quick here, some of the stuff it'll do with calculus. So I did not I went to school like 2 weeks ago to grab a TI-89, and I didn't think to grab one with the program on it that you guys have, but I highly recommend that you guys spend some time play with that program and maybe like do a practice test with it because you can use it. It does a lot of stuff for you and it can definitely help you. So, my bad on that. But again, I strongly recommend you play with that on your own some and make sure you know how to use all the functions quickly so that you're not panicking during the AP test. All right, so I wanted to go through just how to graph, do things with the graph, and then take a derivative and an integral on your main screen here. So if you hit F3, that's your calc options. So you can see it'll do differentiate, integrate, limit, all this stuff. I would really only probably use it for differentiate and integrate. I would use the graph for most of your other stuff, or that program. But differentiate, so a couple of ways I can work with the second hit. And you might not remember it, but just giving you like some ideas to play with. So, like, what's the derivative of sine of x, comma x with respect to x? So that's going to give you your derivative. If you hit a 2 at the end, that does the second derivative. I don't know what's going to happen here, but we're going to try to put a 2 and then an x. And that does nothing, so don't do that. So that's just taking the derivative. If you have to plug in a number, there is this n deriv down here, which I don't use it, so I'm not really sure what to, let's say n derivative of sine of x, comma x, comma 2. Like, does this plug in the 2? Yeah, I don't know what that does, so I'll just ignore that. Let's go to integration. So differentiate is differentiate, hit differentiate, and then hit whatever function you want to differentiate, and then comma x, and it'll give you the derivative. Integral. So you can hit F3, and then number 2 is integrate. And so then I could do like x squared comma x, and it would give me the integral of that. I missed a parenthesis. No. Oh, I got things typed weird. All right, so integrate x squared comma x, then we'll integrate that. So there's your 1/3 x to the third. This one you can do numerically also. So if I wanted to integrate x squared comma x, let's say from 0 to 3, it'll actually give me an answer. So that's doing like the 1/3 x to the third, plug it in the top, plug it in the bottom. All right, so there's your main ones there. If you go to a graph, so I've got this x squared plus 2x in. That's what I was working with when I made the video the other day. So let's just go to the graph and we can see it. That stuff, don't worry about that. We'll get to it in a few minutes. So let's say value. Well, I'm going to clear this out because that's annoying me. All right, then we're going to retype it and that other stuff will be gone. So go to graph. If you don't see the proper window, you can always hit F2 up here for zoom. And then you can zoom in, out, square, standard, whatever. The biggest thing to remember is after you hit one of these, so let's say I wanted to hit zoom out. A lot of people assume it just does it, but it asks you for the new center first, so it knows like where to start, and then it backs out from there. So if you zoom out and nothing happens, it's kind of waiting for you to do your thing. So then, let's say we had to zoom back in. I'm going to go second window here, or I can just go to zoom. If you go second window, so hit the second button and then the window button, or F2, you can choose your own like X and Y kind of boundaries. So let's say we went -10 to 10. That's probably negative. I wouldn't mess with the scale. I don't really know what that is, and I'm pretty sure it auto fixes it whenever you graph anyway. And then hit Diamond F3 to graph it, and you get, there's just your regular graph. Okay, now what about the calculus stuff? So now if you go to F5, so F5 math, you got these options up here. So value is just what is the value at that spot. So if it was f of x equals blah blah blah, find f of 4. You would hit that. It says what's x equal. You type in an x value. Let's say in this case x equals 4, and it'll give you the y value that goes with it. One thing to keep in mind is the x values do have to be on the screen for the calculator to do this. The y values don't. So like 24, is way up here somewhere and it can't see it. But x equals 4 is on the screen. If I tried to do x equals 8, like somewhere over here, it would tell me there's an error. Then you'd have to use your window to get back to a spot where the calculator could see that x value. Okay, zeros. That's where the graph crosses the x-axis. So it's going to ask for a lower bound and an upper bound. It's basically kind of trying to figure out, if there's more than one, it's trying to figure out which one you want. So there's 2 here. There's this 0 over here and this 0 over here. So we're going to try to find this one. Lower bound is a lower x value. So even though I'm higher on the y-axis, I'm left is really what I mean, like a lower x value. And then an upper x value, so it's going to look in between those 2 spots. And there's the 0. And I could repeat that for the other one if I wanted to. So find this 0. Lower bound, so just to the left of it. Upper bounds, go just to the right of it. And there's the 0 there. If I go back to F5, just kind of going through more. Min and max will work the same way. Just to kind of give you an idea. So min, it would say, what's the lower bound? So go just to the left of your min. Upper bound, so go just to the right, and then it'll find that lowest x value there, -1, maximum will work the same way. Intersection, I'm not sure you'd ever have to use this, but let's put another curve here, and let's just say y equals 3. And let's find out where those intersect. So F5, I'm choosing intersection again. This says first curve, second curve. There might be like 3 or 4 equations on your graph, but I'm just going to pick one up. We use up and down to go back and forth. I don't care which one you call first or second. Just make sure you're not calling the same one, first and second. And then lower bound, upper bound again. So there's 2 intersection points. We're going to go just to the left, x value-wise of that intersection point. Go just to the right, x value-wise of that intersection point, and it'll give us that spot. And again, we could repeat to find the other one. So first curve, second curve, and then now I'm just going to scroll over and make sure I'm kind of surrounding this one. And there's the other intersection. All right, diamond y equals to go back, and I'm going to erase this one. Diamond F3 to go back to the graph, and let's do a couple calculus-y things. So if I go F5 for math, derivatives. So it won't give you the equation of the derivative, but it'll give you, what's the derivative at 2/5, for example. So that's a pretty useful thing on the AP test because it won't always make you show your work, but f of x is this giant thing. Find f prime of 7. You throw f of x in your calculator, and your calculator will find f prime of whatever. So you put the original graph in here, and then it's saying dy dx at, well, let's say the derivative at 1. So the derivative at 1 is 4. So that's telling you the slope at that spot. If I go back to F5, let's jump to tangent line because that's kind of similar. It'll find the tangent line at any given x value. So let's say tangent line at 4. So that'll actually draw it for you, and then 10x minus 16. So just to, let me do another one because I was a little off the screen, but just to remind you kind of what a tangent line is. It runs right against the, I don't know how to erase those. It'll run right up against the curve, but not actually touch it and kind of be parallel to it at that one spot. So I'm just drawing a bunch from here, just so you can see what a few of them look like, and then the equation is always in the bottom left there. I wonder if I can clear those. All right, I don't know how to clear those, so we're going to go back here and just erase it and type it in the same equation again. I'm sure there's a faster way to do that, but I don't know what it is, so You're stuck. All right, then it'll integrate to. That's the biggest thing I want to show you still. So you can use the integration on that other screen I showed you, like the home screen. And that's totally fine. I think that's a good way to do it. And so is this. It just depends kind of where you're doing your work. But let's say I wanted to go from -1 to 1. It'll shade that, and it'll give me the integral for that area. So remember, this will automatically default to making anything below the axis negative and anything above the axis positive. So like in this case, that 2/3, the 0.6667, means there's 2/3 more above the axis than below. Because you'd get kind of part of that canceling out above and below. Yeah, that's really about it. Like I said, just running through a few main things, and please look at that program you guys have because I think that'll be really helpful. Yeah, please let me know if you have questions too. Hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe. Miss you, and take care.